welcome back to the next video. On this one, I'm just going to address some of the other issues the engine has, as like the oil leak, and fix some other stuff that, or install and finish some other stuff that I haven't done yet, like the alternator. Finish wiring that up, so that's good, and the cooling lines, finishing running those. I'm just going to get working on a bunch of the other stuff to tidy it up so that the engine can run and stay running. Just started unwiring it, and I got the positive main power cable right in here. I'm waiting for the soldering iron to warm up so I can solder that and make sure it stays there. But in the meantime, somewhere in there, I think it's these wires. I've got to figure out where they go to tell the alternator what to do as far as where the battery's at, the signal on, and then I think the other wire is to tell the ECU what the battery's at. So I'm gonna keep getting this wired up and hopefully it'll be done soon. Also, I'm thinking I might see if I can run just the 3 pulleys, basically eliminating a tensioner and eliminating any extra stuff. So it's just the water pump alternator and main crank pulley. All right, so I kind of got lost with the alternator wiring, being I don't want to start it with no pulley. It's not really going to give me much right now. So I'm going to worry about that later. But what I have been working on now is the oil leak. In front of what I can see here, this is leaking. I'm not entirely sure how to solve this issue. I'm still working on it, but I just found out it was leaking from this seal. And then this one too, this one was actually just leaking like loose, period. So that wasn't really holding much of a seal at all. The rest internally, I think, was for the VVTi gear. That actually uses oil pressure to adjust cam timing. I'm gonna keep looking to see what exactly is causing it, but I think it is the seals, something to do with the cam. So I just got back from picking up a drive shaft. I was just gonna use it for parts for this, but I've actually found out an automatic transmission 350Z drive shaft might actually fit with factory length. I might not have to cut it up and resize it. So right now what I'm doing is I'm cutting away what I need to of the tunnel. I might be able to just in that section underneath hammer it up. If you look close, you'll see some spot welds there. There is material inside that I will need to remove. But the drive shaft there, then we'll be able to fit up under this tunnel. I won't need to cut all of it out and re-weld it, potentially. And it'll go back to the diff back there. So I'm gonna keep working on that. Another thing I have been working on is the cooling lines. I've got one of them for the most part ran. I'm gonna wait on some more parts to show up before I finish it, and then I've still gotta run the other cooling line. So from back there, that top line comes down underneath the car, up through the engine bay, and now goes to the top of the 2J. I think that's how it's supposed to be ran. And then that bottom outlet is I need to run a line through there somehow to underneath to that other line that goes across the side. Making more progress. So last night I did get a bit more progress done. Had a ton of fun too, honestly. I started working on this piece more. This is gonna be that lower cooling line that goes from this down to the other end of that pipe. And then also, as you can see now, the drive shaft, I made the clearance so that it actually bolts up and it's in there. That I will need to clearance a little bit more just to make sure it doesn't rub, but I am able to bolt it up and it spins and I don't hear anything. So forgot to mention it, but yeah, I did throw the front end back on. I had already gotten a lot of that together. I just hadn't finished a lot of it, like the charge pipes I might redo, and I'll need to finish them because like that's probably gonna leak. I think it looks a lot more complete just throwing what I've already done back on the car. So honestly, if all goes according to plan, the car might move soon. I've still got to adjust the steering. I might be able to drive it with the bump steer just to see if it moves under its own power. But it does have a drive shaft, transmission, clutch. I might have to pull those apart because I might have messed up the throw bearing, but we'll see. I'm also working on, I've got here the wheel off. I need a new wheel bearing because it wobbles around. It's very minimal and you'll see it with the wheel on. But the other thing I'm going to do is take this boot off and measure where the pivot point is on this inner tie rod so I can get stuff to make a spacer to bring this pivot point out, and then I'll have to cut and shorten this piece again. That way the tie rod will actually be in line with this bolt instead of way back there causing the bump steer to go in and out whenever the travel goes up and down. So I kind of gave up on the inner tie rod for now. Just it's not coming loose and there's no real good way to grab onto it. But I did start the 2J to try and tune it, and I got some things figured out. Like I adjusted the cc's per minute of the fuel injectors. They state they're 1,000, but they're not quite acting like it. So we'll have to dive into that more, but I'll show you guys where it's at right now. So it obviously runs, and I'm so stoked for it. Obviously still needs tuning, and there's a lot more that needs to be done. I'm noticing a few things now it's actually running. For one, that oil leak never got fixed from the cam gears. That's an oil leak from the drain from the turbo and fill from the turbo. I'll need to fix those leaks. I'm guessing it's because they're paper gaskets. Same with the pan. It's also a paper gasket. That's just what was provided. But yeah, these cam gears, I think, are still pissing out oil, and I don't know why. I've read on forums that it's common with 2JZs to have issues with them. There's a guy who went through like 7 sets of them to find a pair that actually fit. So I'll have to do more research on that to actually get it fixed. But this is where it stands right now. All right, so I've been working on the car, and I've got the exhaust here. I've actually almost got it fully welded. That's hopefully gonna sound pretty cool. I'm gonna finish welding it up. I just got one into the V-band to finish, and then that should be done. I need to fix some oil leaks. Really hoping tonight I can get to test drive it. The turbo is now, the exhaust is ran down under. I had to cut more of the trans tunnel out, but that should be fine. I'll just make a new one anyways that attaches. I need to find wherever the port is on the transmission and check to see the fluid. Same with the diff back there. And I might do some more clearancing on the drive shaft too, because that's close, but it isn't rubbing yet. What I also need to do before I can even test driving it is I'm gonna hook up and test or bleed the clutch and brake lines. They share the same reservoir right here and then attached to each other. I think this goes to the clutch. No, that goes down. But there should be something that connects this to the clutch there. And with that, oh, I think I see the hose is missing right there. So that's gonna be interesting. Once I can get that clutch line down in there, hooked up to the transmission, the clutch should work fine from there. And then I'll just need to hook up the brakes to make sure I can stop. There will still be bump steer, but hopefully I'll have a moving car, which is huge progress. I'm gonna keep working at it, and I'll update you guys when I'm closer to doing more stuff. All right, so I got the exhaust mounts welded up and the V-band finished on the exhaust, so both are done. But while that's cooling, what I am really excited about, I'm gonna try fitting the hood back on the car and clearancing that so that it can close with the 2J. That's gonna be sick. My God, that thing's dusty dirty. I'm gonna go hose that off quick, and then I'll get to fitting it on the car. All right, I was too lazy to hose it off, so I just wiped it down with some isopropyl alcohol. But that is looking a lot better, and I'm excited to see it on the car with the 2JZ. There we go. That's moving. Moment of truth. Yeah, so close. So as you can see, barely just up in there, it's barely touching the timing chain cover. So I'll have to cut and clearance that a little bit, but it is so close to fitting. And I'm so stoked to see this. Moment of truth. Does it get that down? And there we go. The hood's all the way down. It is sitting this headlight. I noticed just during stuff, the mount actually broke, so that's sitting a bit back and wonky. So I'll have to fix that or just remake those headlights. I like the concept, but they're not perfect, but that's gonna look sick. And I've also obviously got to get new fenders, just so everyone's not questioning that. Yeah, I have anger issues, so I'll get those, trying to work on it. But that is a working hood for a 2JZ. That is so sick. All right, so now I'm just gonna make sure that the exhaust is cool enough. So let's get that thrown back on and see how that sounds for the first time. And there we got it. Not only is the hood on, but the exhaust is fully ran underneath the car all the way to the tailpipe here. I think I got the oil leaks, at least one of them dealt with. The other one might need a little more work. There's also the cam seals. I'll have to figure those out later because still don't know what I'm gonna do with those. I did get the clutch line hooked up to the transmission, but I'm not gonna try using it yet because one, it needs to be bled into. I might have to pull it back off because I think I installed it incorrectly anyways. Once my friend shows up, I'm gonna try starting it with the new exhaust and even with the hood on it. So this is gonna be sick when it's done. All right, so I'm gonna make this quick just because it's late at night, but I did get the exhaust finished. This is so satisfying, being able to use the hood. So I didn't want to rev it too loud just because it was late at night that night. I'm proud of the progress I made. We've got a working hood with a 2JZ fitting underneath and a full exhaust running out. Still got plenty of more work to do, but I'm pretty happy with it. I hope you guys have been enjoying the build and enjoyed the video, and I hope you guys have a good day. See you in the next one.